Hello everyone, this is Robert Weaver and I just wanted to take a few minutes and do my quiz review for you. So I selected question 1 from the second attempt of the 2 quizzes that we had to do this week. And I just want to let everybody know up front that when I move my mouse on the computer, it interferes with the audio. So if I'm moving the mouse around, I'm not going to be talking. So if you just be a little bit patient with me, I would really appreciate it. I'll try and get through this as quick as possible. So let me go ahead and start from the bottom. I do have the correct answer highlighted here. And that reads, contracts must be written, but powers of attorney can be oral. And we know from the actual textbook that some powers of attorneys can be oral in certain states. I didn't honestly look up the regulations for Tennessee. I probably should have. And contracts must be written. We know that some contracts actually can be oral contracts. And what I did is I looked at the glossary to see what the definition of a power of attorney is, and I think I kind of found the correct answer that I was searching for with this particular answer. Let me go ahead and bring up the glossary and I'll explain what I'm talking about. So if we look at the glossary here that Ms. Johnson provided, it says a power of attorney is a document authorizing a person to act as an attorney in fact for the person signing the document. So this right away stood out to me that it's a document, it's a written instrument that one has. So it's not an oral agreement that is agreed upon between two parties or an agency relationship. The second multiple choice answer that we could have selected was contracts require both parties to have mental capacity, but powers of attorney can be executed even if the principal is incapacitated. And I know from prior classes that mental capacity is a big factor with contracts because you have to be able to understand what you're agreeing to. And so I looked up the elements of a legal contract that I'd like to show you. Those elements require an offer, acceptance, consideration. Number 5, there is a competency and capacity in certain circumstances. Now, it's my understanding that you have to fully understand what you're obligating yourself to with a contract. You know, you can't just force somebody who has dementia to sign over their house to you under a contract. So they have to understand what they're losing is what my understanding is. But powers of attorneys can be executed even if the principal is incapacitated. Now we know from the textbook that it is a power of attorney is a mutual agreement between two parties. So if I'm got a power of attorney for somebody to act on my behalf if I get into a car accident and I'm in a coma, they would act on my behalf in dealing with my business practices. They could act in my behalf on funeral arrangements or act on behalf of my medical needs while I'm in the hospital. And we both have to mutually agree on that written instrument, that power of attorney, that this is what that person's role is going to be. So I knew right away that these two from the bottom up, the last two answers were actually incorrect. The other one was that I could have selected from was contracts require mutual assent. Powers of attorney do not. And was not familiar with the mutual assent requirement or definition, so I actually Googled it. Let me go ahead and bring that up for you. And this seems to be talking about contract law. If an offer is accepted by the offeree and all things are legal, there is a mutual agreement. This agreement is called mutual assent, meaning two parties agree upon something and are prepared to enter into a contract. In other words, both parties agree to the same thing. So this would be, mutual assent would be um, in a contract where I agree to, uh, you agree to purchase my home and I agree to accept a set amount. Uh, but it says powers of attorney do not. So what what the answer is saying that in a power of attorney, the other party doesn't have to agree with what the principal is having them sign a contract to. And we know from the textbook that both parties have to agree. So automatically that answer was out. And then I looked at the last available answer was contracts usually require payment or exchange of something of value. And we know that in a contract, an offer has to be presented uh, in order for that contract to be to have some validity, correct? So, but powers of attorney do not. Uh, and that is true because a power of attorney, the person is just acting for the excuse me, the agent is acting for the benefit of the principal. The principal has to have certain reasonable expectations with the agent, but primarily the agent's job is to act for the principal in their absence, essentially. So I knew that this right away told me, okay, this is the correct answer that we're looking for, what the difference between a power of attorney and other types of contracts. So, well, this is my quiz review, and I hope everybody enjoyed it. I hope I made some sense for everybody. And I look forward to reading or looking at all your videos online and responding to them. And take care.